I'm not in a relationship at the moment, no, but I would like to be, you know, get the companionship, be able just to go on a date. I've never actually been on a date in my life, but that'd be nice, just to be, you know, treated well and just have a nice time with someone.
No, I'm not in a relationship. Do I want to be in a relationship? It's dependent on whether the right person comes along.
I am in a relationship at the moment.
Yeah, I'm currently in a relationship, coming up almost 2 years.
I'm not in a relationship, but I would like to be in a relationship, definitely. I feel like everything else in my life is in a really good place, like my friendships, my family, my career. I feel like my relationship with myself is really positive. So I feel like I'm ready to be in a relationship with someone else and have that experience, you know, long term, and go on a journey with someone. That's how I see it anyway. Yeah.
Not for me, no. I'm quite old-fashioned because I'm only 19, so you would have thought I'd be in that whole, yeah, just one-night stands, whatever else, blah blah blah. But no, I'm in it for the long haul.
My initial response to that is no, but it does depend on the context.
I wouldn't say it's all about sex, but sex does play a big part. I think, like, I'm a big advocate of, like, personalities matter, but you do have to be physically attracted to somebody, I think, in order to open up to them, to explore their personality. I've always been a big believer in that. So I think looks do play a part in the beginning, but for me, I really fell in love with Chris's personality, and then the looks kind of came after, in a way. But I did, obviously, I had to find him attractive in a way, otherwise I probably wouldn't have, you know, given him that time of day.
When I meet a guy, it's not all about sex, it's about a connection, like about if we can vibe, like would I be friends with this person? That's quite an important question I ask myself. No matter how attractive someone is and how sexually attracted I am to them, I want to know, you know, do they have something to say that interests me? Am I finding them interesting? Am I opening up to them? Or am I closing off for whatever reason? Sometimes it's just energy and you can't actually pinpoint it to how the person looks or what they've said or anything. Sometimes just energies don't match, and so yeah, you can never really know, you know, because I have, you know, spoken to people on websites and dating apps and things like that, but you never know until you meet someone if you have the right, you know, chemistry and energy to really get on. So I always like to, you know, meet someone for coffee and just like sit across the table from them and just, you know, see if we vibe.
Definitely long term, definitely, because I like being able to forge a relationship with someone and just seeing where it goes, because I would like to see, I only go out with people who I'd actually see a future with.
I think once it gets to like relationship stage, I think by then you're sort of hoping maybe for like long term, but you got to be open-minded about it. I think, like, just go with the flow, you know. That's what I normally do anyway, just see what happens.
With Chris, I hadn't really thought about it. It was just something that happened really quickly and really easily. We just kind of went with it. I didn't really kind of think of the future until maybe about 6 months into it, when we kind of started getting like more serious. By that point we were like going to move in together and stuff like that, so that's when future plans came up for it. But at the time I probably would say it was just in the moment. Neither of us had kind of considered the future.
I'm looking for something long term in a relationship. I do, even quite early on when I'm dating someone, think, could I marry this person? Would I introduce them to my mum or my grandparents or, you know, all of my friends? Like, and if I think no, then I think, why am I wasting my time? Or is there something gonna change in me? Like, is this person gonna change my perception of like the type of person I should be with? Because obviously I think about who I date sometimes through the lens of like people that know me as well, like what will they make of this person, and so that can influence my decision making about a person as well. But I'm definitely looking for something long term, but for me long term means being involved in all of my life, you know, with my family and friends and everything. So if I can't see them fitting into that, I probably won't carry on with it. Yeah.
definitely. I want to have that kind of family life. I want to be able to have children and to be able to have a partner to kind of navigate life with.
I don't know. I don't think I'm in a position to like know that yet. Like, just if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Definitely, yeah. So I'm going to propose to Chris in Japan on because his birthday is February the 16th. So I'm going to propose to him on February the 14th. We've already kind of spoke about it briefly, and he has said he will say yes. So it's just about getting that ring, but obviously in Japan it's not really recognised gay marriage yet, so we're going to just have an engagement there and then get married when we come back.
When I was a child myself, I always thought, you know, I want to have children, I want to be married and yeah, have a family. And you know, then I realised I was gay, and then I still wanted all of that.
Absolutely. I don't want suburbia, I don't want all that, but I want that family, being able to send my kids off to school and seeing them grow up and contribute to the world. So I would be disappointed.
Yeah, I think I would be, because I do see both of them in my future at some point. I don't know when.
I don't think I'd be disappointed, because I think if by then I decided that's what I wanted, I probably would have done it. Like, I'm not worried about that. I think I'll be fine. But I'm just not really bothered either way, which like makes me feel like I don't actually want to get married or have kids. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I would be. Obviously, we're going to get married, and in terms of kids, that's not something that's kind of come up in the past as kind of like more of a joke. So we've never really like definitely stated that, yeah, we're definitely going to have kids. Like, we've already, like, Chris has already named the kids and everything, but that will happen. We will kind of, we're both quite kid friendly. I think we'd make good parents. So that's definitely in our future.
I think the person I am today, I would be disappointed if I didn't get married and have kids. But the person I may be at the time when those things haven't happened may feel very differently about it. So, you know, in my future, you know, I see it. But if things change, you know, and that's just not the way life takes me, then I think, you know, that's just something I'm sure I'll make peace with, because you know, I've got loads of good things in my life, you know, and I'm sure even if I didn't get married and have kids, I know my life is full of love and will be full of love in the future anyway.
That it's all about the sex. That I heard a saying not so long ago saying every gay man cheats, and it shocked me when I heard that, because I'm not like that. And yeah, I have come across people who do cheat, and I personally think it's not good. I think it's disgusting, to be honest. If you're in a committed situation with someone, that's commitment. It's almost like an unwritten contract. So I think it's a common misconception that everyone does cheat and that it's all for the sex.
That it's easy. I think a lot of people, like my friends even, have said to me like, I wish I could be a lesbian because it's so much easier, like I can't deal with boys now. But I don't think it's easier at all. I think it's probably just as hard, maybe harder because everyone's so emotional, but maybe that's just my experiences.
I think the most common misconception of like gay relationships is like when people ask who's the man and who's the woman, thinking that we conform to those kind of stereotypes, that we are like straight couples. We're not, you know, we're doing our own thing. We're two men or two women, you know, and we're together because we're two men and we're two women, you know. That's the thing, that's the attraction, that's the reason that we're gay. So yeah, when people ask that, I find it ridiculous and annoying. So I think that's, for me, the biggest misconception, if you can call it that.
That you can't remain faithful to each other. That's a big thing. Like, even myself reading a lot about kind of like gay relationships, and it's always assumed that gay people want open relationships where they can just sleep around with anyone they want and then just come home to their boyfriend at the end of the night, and that's not the case. I know many gay couples that would never dream of cheating on each other, and I would never dream of cheating on Chris, and I'm sure he feels the same way. It's just when you feel close to somebody like that, I think it would be the biggest betrayal, and I couldn't live with myself or even look at him every day knowing that I've gone behind his back and did something so awful. So I'd say that is what I find is the biggest misconception when I talk to people and when I read like things online, that yeah, gay people can't remain faithful to each other.
Well, I actually dated someone who wasn't out and was a little bit older than me, and at one point asked me to run away from him in the middle of the street because he saw someone he knew. So I personally wouldn't recommend it to anybody, because if they're not proud of being with you, what's the point of being with them in the first place?
If you'd asked me that question maybe a year or two ago, I probably would have been like, yeah, I'd be open to the idea. I've dated 2 people that haven't been out, but the last relationship that I was in, the guy was in that situation, and I probably went into it quite naively, didn't really think too much about it, but it was definitely detrimental to the relationship, and I think it was probably ultimately one of the main reasons why we're now not together.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see what this whole coming out thing is about. You know, I would, like, if they don't want to come out, then whatever, as long as I know that they are. Obviously, I would know, but yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I would, because I understand, because when I started dating Chris, I wasn't out, and it was only maybe like 3 months into our relationship that I finally kind of came out and told my mum and told my friends, but I told Chris that I was out, so I kind of lied in the beginning, because he'd had issues in the past with guys that weren't out, and he kept always saying to me like, oh, I will never do that again, it's too hard. So, and I was there kind of like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean, even though I was like the exact same way. So I would give someone a chance, but then I also understand how hard it would be, being that person that wants to express yourself and wants to kind of be out in public with that person, and that person's not ready. It can be quite tough.
I have dated guys who were not out when I met them. So I've dated guys who were straight until I met them. So that's been interesting, like, you know, but, you know, that's only how they was, you know, living their lives. It wasn't that they didn't have feelings for guys, but, you know, we got together and then they realised actually I'm either, you know, one, bisexual or gay. And but if someone wanted to be with me and stay with me for a long time, I don't think I could pretend, you know, to anyone that we weren't together, or pretend we were just friends. So in that sense, if they didn't want to come out to their own family or friends, I might be okay with it for a while, but around my friends and my family, I'd need to be honest and open. But eventually, you know, I think it's important, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, that you do meet each other's family and friends, and that it's an honest meeting and not a deception there, pretending you're just friends. So for me, I'm not comfortable with it. The stage I'm at in life now, I wouldn't, no.
Some that shout out to me, I think girls are definitely more sensual, more emotional, and are more caring and considerate about how you're feeling about things, whereas I think guys are definitely can have a much more selfish attitude, and I think when you've got 2 selfish guys, that can cause a lot of arguments, a lot of confusion over things. So yeah, that's really the main thing.
Yeah, but like, I don't know how it would be like different, because I was like really young, so like it was obviously like a difference in the relationship anyway, but I mean it was pretty much the same, I suppose, but I was just younger.
Yeah, I have done. I've only been out myself like 2 years, round about when I met Chris. So yeah, I dated women before that, and it was, I don't know, I always knew that I was gay, so it was never really, I never enjoyed being with a woman, so it was always putting on a front, it was always an act. I always felt like I had my guard up 24 hours a day, so it wasn't a pleasant experience. And I'm not like, that's nothing bad against women, but just for myself, you know, it wasn't what I was looking for, it wasn't what I needed. It just kind of made me, I think, a little bit more depressed and a bit more repressed, I think, being with a woman, because it's just like kind of putting a mask over it. when there's an issue there's an elephant in the room and you're just trying to cover it up. So yeah, it differed in the way that I couldn't be relaxed, I couldn't be myself, because I was constantly like putting up a front.
Probably, yeah. Depend on the circumstances. I find a lot of times it's all about the circumstances. If it's ended amicably and they're friends, I can accept that. But if, say, there were still feelings there, I wouldn't be jealous, but I wouldn't be happy.
I think it does depend. It does depend on the situation that they were in prior to the relationship that you're in. Now, how I feel about it is that if you're comfortable with yourself, and if your partner is making you feel comfortable, then there's probably no issues at all, like you're not going to feel jealous about them or whatever. But I think that isn't always the case. And for example, my ex was friends with a lot of people that he'd been with in the past, whether that was casual or more serious. And it was a massive problem for me, to be honest with you, because he didn't make me feel secure that he wanted to be in a relationship with me. And when I sort of inquired about things, he didn't really give me the answers that I was hoping for. So yeah, it's an issue for me.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm friends with like my exes. I think it's a bit different when it is just girls, because you do get like in friendships with them as well. And like my girlfriend now is friends with her ex, so I mean I wouldn't mind. It doesn't really bother me at all, as long as I know that like there's nothing going on there. I think it's fine.
Yeah, because Chris is friends with most of his, so most of the guys that he kind of, not most, but a lot of the guys that he's hooked up, he's met through like dating apps and stuff like that, as some of his good friends, and I know them, get on well with them. I don't feel threatened by them, because I know that like, even before I came along, those kind of the sexual relationship with these friends had stopped. So it's been a platonic friendship for a while before I even kind of came into the picture. So yeah, I would say so. It depends how friendly with their ex they are. I mean, I don't believe everyone should cut out their exes. Some people do like to remain friends with them, but if it interrupts our life or gets involved in our life, then that's, I think, when it becomes a problem.
Oh yeah, I think friendship's a really important relationship in general. So if a guy was friends with his ex, you know, I think that was a good sign that he could manage to maintain a friendship and that they had some sort of amicable breakup or made some sort of peace with it afterwards. So no, I am friends with exes, so I think, you know, being friends with your ex, if possible, is a lovely thing, because, you know, you spent time together, you've been very intimate and close, and you loved each other, hopefully. So if you can remain friends and keep that love going in a different form, I think that's really nice.
Absolutely, someone did try to change me, and it was the smallest of things. It's because I used to watch Hollyoaks, and he was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to change that out of you and a couple of other things, and I just went, excuse me? Like, really? You're not gonna change me. I am who I am. If you can't accept that, then you can bugger off.
Maybe I haven't noticed that I've done it, and they haven't maybe picked up on it, but have people tried to change me? Yes. When I was not out myself, I was with the guy, and he was very like pushy and very forthcoming about me wanting to come out, and that made me feel really uncomfortable, because I think the decision has to be made by the person who is in that situation.
I don't think, I'm quite naive, so if someone was trying to change me, I don't think I'd actually know that they were trying anyway, so I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I was the person that changed in the relationship, I think. I said, you knew me before. When we were at university, I was a very different person. The way I acted, the way I dressed, the way I thought, and I think I wanted to be better. I wanted to kind of almost impress Chris by not being the kind of person I used to be, because I never used to give a crap really about how I looked, or, you know, so I think that became more of a thing about myself, making myself feel better. He didn't really try to change me, it was something I did myself, but he's, I think, quite happy with the change, so.
I've never tried to change someone. I've been with people that maybe wanted to change because of being with me, like kind of certain things about themselves not that I highlighted them, but that they knew, that they kind of was like, oh, I want to change this because I'm sure you don't like this about me, or I want to be, I want to be more like you in this respect, or so maybe having an influence on someone just by being with them, but never wanting to change someone. If I meet someone, I accept them as they are, and if they want to change and want support in doing that, whether it's giving up smoking, something small like that. Actually, that's not a small thing, it's quite a big thing, but like something like that, I'd support someone, but I wouldn't make it a it's cigarettes or me, because I'd probably choose the cigarettes, so I won't do that to myself.
I just think being able to accept each other's faults and to be able to, or not change someone, but turn them into positives and be able to put something positive back into the world, because at the end of the day you're with that person and it's you and that person against the world at the end of the day, and if your partner's not with you, then who really is to help you?
I don't know if there definitely needs to be many compromises. I think it's just like a balance of time, and it definitely depends with like careers and stuff. Like obviously if you need to move somewhere for a career, you've got to make compromises. If like it doesn't affect the other person, I think it's alright. But yeah, definitely like a balance of time. I think it depends on like the couple in general though, because like you might be alright with not seeing each other like loads, you might want to see each other loads as well, so I think it really depends.
You need to understand each other, and if there are problems you need to communicate them. I think kind of hiding away and not spending time with each other is not always a good thing. Even if you're like angry at each other, you need to kind of work it out. And me and Chris kind of make a habit of like not going to bed angry, so we could have an argument and then one of us will cave in and apologise before we go to sleep, so I think that's important. Communication is the absolute key, I think, in a successful relationship.
I'm sure you need to make loads of compromises for a successful relationship. It might be why I'm not in one, because I'm not like the most compromising person. Like I do have some fixed ideas about what I want from a partner, from a relationship. So yeah, compromise is an interesting thing. I remember my uncle sat me down, and he's been in a long-term relationship with his partner, and he said, if you want a relationship, you have to compromise. So you better start just practicing doing things you don't want for people in general. And I was like, what? That can't be what a relationship is. And he's like, well, partly it is, doing things for someone else, putting up someone else first, making compromises, and, definitely not being selfish. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, so compromise is something that at the moment I haven't had to do much in my life, because, people accept me for who I am, and for what I want to do in life and what I'm about. And so if a partner couldn't accept stuff about me or how I live or how I am, I'd probably just think they weren't the right partner. That's the thing. So yeah.
I hope so, because again, it's been a good year, but there's still a lot more to do and a lot further to go, because at the end of the day we're just like heterosexual relationships, it's just two guys or two girls. So hopefully it does change and people realise happy suburban lives are one of our things that we can do.
I don't think people's perceptions of people in gay or lesbian relationships is going to change from the responses that I've said. But I hope the responses that other people have said, it will make people think, definitely.
Maybe they'll know that it's not easier to be in a lesbian relationship. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's like, it's 2016 now, I think people should get it, hopefully. If they don't, get it.
I hope their perceptions about gay relationships change after watching it, because hopefully they see that we're just normal people who want normal things. I mean, like, I've always, like, the whole kind of big gay marriage debate, I mean, it's not, people kind of say, oh, it's about a man and a woman, and it's about the unity of a family, and I kind of look at it, the fact that there are also men and women that can't have children, so should that mean that they can't get married because there's no family involved? But I just think it's when two people love each other, no matter what sex you are, I think as a human being you should have a right to get married or do whatever you want. And I think that's why I do hope people's perception change. They do realise that we're just normal people, like. And there is like I said earlier, there is a misconception about kind of seedy gay relationships, but that's not always the case, and it's in all the people that I know, in the couples I know, that's not the case. So yeah.
I'm not sure if a documentary can change people's perceptions. In as much as I think people need to know people. Like, I think a documentary can show you some people that you didn't know, but I think you need to actually know people. So I think you need, when you have gay friends or, you know, are around people, then you see who they are, how they live, then you really get to understand stuff. Then you can ask questions back. You know, the people watching this only get to hear the answers to your questions, but they probably have questions of their own. So that's the thing, you know, we want to understand, and we want to understand different things and for different reasons, and hopefully, you know, some questions have been answered for people, but I'm sure they have so much more they want to know.